Yeah. Okay.
And are we live on Facebook?
Yeah, Facebook.
Awesome. All right. So, I think it'll be easier for you. Anyway, we're just going to start.
Okay.
Welcome to our Facebook Live, Stitching or Sewing with Sandy and Emerald.
Hi.
Emerald,
Usually.
you're usually behind the camera, so I'm going to ask you some questions.
Okay.
A couple questions. So tell us about yourself, where you're from, how you came to be here, you're going to school. Yeah, kind of just give us a quick bio.
Okay. I'm Emerald. I just came here to study for social media marketing, and then one day I saw, I was looking for an internship, and it was really hard for us as international students because a lot of companies don't want to deal with that.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm just gonna try everywhere. So my friend knew this, and then she shopped at your shop.
Mm-hmm.
I think she did frequently before, and then so she received your email of you're looking for somebody who's doing social media, and then I was just like, oh, okay, I can try this place. I don't really know much about quilting, and then all those stitching. I do sew a little bit. That's it. And then so I just sent you an email. I just started. And yeah, I was lucky enough to get here.
We are lucky enough to have her here.
Yeah, because I love all the things here. I just came here, and then it's just the shop is wonderful. What? I don't see this before,
Yeah.
Even the quilt shop from a country in Taiwan, or we have customer from New York. They're like, it's not like this. It's different. Yeah.
We have fun here, and we love having Emerald with us. She's been a great addition. She is a take charge girl. She doesn't wait to be told what to do. She just keeps me going. So I appreciate her very much. So Emerald, you've not done a lot of hand stitching, right?
No.
Okay. So today we're going to be working on the little joy pillow that I showed you last week. Now, we'll be also sewing the Christmas tree, but we're going to start with the joy pillow because that's got the hand stitching. There is a pattern you can purchase for this, and it is, if I get my little reading glasses on here, the pattern is $3, but you can go from just the tutorial I'm going to show you. You'll know what you're going to need to know, so you can do it without the pattern, but there is a printed pattern that has the stitch diagrams and such for you if you would like that. So the first thing you need is some background fabric to stitch on. Now I did mine on black, okay, and I have one prepped on black, so you can do black or you can do cream. I'm going to do cream today because it's going to be easier for people to see my stitches than it would be on the black. Okay, cream is also easier to trace through, but we're not even going to trace today. We are going to just freestyle it here. So I like to put a piece of Shape Flex. It's a woven stabilizer like a Pellon, but it's woven so it doesn't pull through your stitches. Sometimes just interfacing will pull through. But so I like to iron that to the back of my piece of cotton fabric. So I'm just going to iron that here. And this is just kind of a heavier weight. It's called background fabric. Yeah. And it's really nice for doing embroidery on.
Can they do flannel or wool as well?
Yeah, they can do. You can stitch this on anything really. And because we're going to be freehanding it, I'll get mine ironed on here. You don't have to trace through. The black is really basically impossible to see through with a light box to trace your design. So you can use some other products, but I'll show you how I freestyle this. So when I was doing on the black, and you can't see here, but I do have it traced on with white chalk. It's fairly faint, but also because we've been rubbing it over the last week. But and that I used one of the Sew Line chalk pencils, and they come in white or pink or yellow, and they're not permanent. They'll just brush away. Yeah. Okay. This is a friction marker, which shows up nicely on the fabric, and heat will make it disappear.
Okay.
So when I put an iron to it, it'll disappear. So to freestyle it, first we need our circle for our wreath.
so you know where is the
Yeah.
center.
So I'm just gonna take something round. I've got my little thread cutter, blade saber here. If you've ever used one of these when you're change piecing, these are fantastic. But we're using it for a different application here. So I'm just going to take my friction marker and I'm just gonna draw my circle. So there's my circle. That is the base that we're gonna start learning the stitch that we're going to do around it here, because we are going to do a feather stitch. Okay, so once you've got that drawn, now we can write the word joy. You could trace it if you want, but I just look at my piece. My pattern here has the word joy, and I just kind of look at it and eyeball it. Just, it's not going to be exact as the font there. But it's pretty close.
I'm not sure if I can do
so.
that.
You can probably see through it if you want to put. Oh, without a light box, I don't think you can.
Yeah.
But I don't have a light box right here, but
Just gonna freestyle.
so you're just gonna freestyle it. We're just doing it all freestyle today.
I mean, so it's not gonna be the same as this either.
That's right. And it could be in your own handwriting if you wanted, or maybe you could do it in a different language. You know.
That's true.
So, okay. So we're ready now. That's all we have to draw for the stitching on here.
Is it all French stitch? Is that what you?
They're going to be French knot. It's all
French
hand
knot.
embroidery.
Okay.
So you need a needle. We've got our chenille needle here, and we should have got my laptop out so we could see if we had any comments. People were watching, but we'll get that on the next go around. Okay, so you're going to need some brown floss. Now we are using, and you're just going to use it just like it comes off. This is a 3-strand floss, and I am not separating the strands on this today because most of this is going to be covered up actually. So I'm just cutting a length of it, and sorry.
That's good. Oh, so you need all 3 of them.
Yeah, because you need all 3.
Yeah.
So you can, like I talked last week about having your stitches lay nice. My number 1 tip is to separate your strands and put them back together. I'm saving time here on this, and I'm just
Man, I'm really bad at this though.
threading the needle.
Like I cannot even do this when this is big.
I have to lick my thread, but that's just how I do it.
It's good.
Got it?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So I'm going to demonstrate the stitch here. Now you're going to probably have to change the camera.
Yeah, let's do that.
And then I'm going to still water. And then we will, so they can see what I'm doing. Okay. Where do you want me to hold it here?
I can see you.
Okay.
Nice.
So what we're doing is this stitch here that's used for the wreath, okay? And this is called a feather stitch, okay? And I'm just going to be following the outline of my circle. So let me demonstrate. I come up from the back and I go just over my line and back to the line. So I'm just taking a little V stitch, okay? See that?
Oh.
Then I come this side of here and back towards the center.
Okay.
And there's that one. So I'm alternating, going back and forth
Oh. And then the
from
next
side
one
to
will
side.
be-
I'm on the right side here.
Uh-huh.
I'm on the left side here. And I go just across, see the bottom of my stitch here? So I'm going to start the next one just across from that. And then just working back to that center where my line is.
Okay.
Okay, does that make sense?
Yes.
And we're just going to be taking those little V stitches, following the shape of our circle. Okay, and that creates the base of our wreath.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So we can just stitch together here. And
Try this thing.
yeah, so come up from the back. Now on the pattern, if you do purchase the pattern, it's in gray. It's kind of a softer gray here around the circle. It shows a little illustration of what it looks like.
So I come
Okay.
here. Do you tie a knot though?
I do. I tie a knot at the end of my floss.
Okay. I probably need to do that.
Yeah. And so I'm just keep working around. And, you know, nature's kind of an organic thing. And I don't worry about, are my stitches exactly the same?
I think that's when you're really good at it.
But I try, I mean, they're fairly uniform. Okay, so you've come up from the back.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Now, you're going to come, let's, so we're not 6 strands. We don't want to double. Let's pull one of those threads that's not.
Oh,
Okay, so you knotted both of them.
Oh,
yeah. So you only want to be doing 3 strands.
Sorry, I'm really new to this.
So Emerald's new to stitching, but that's great. That's what we're here for.
I see. Okay.
So yeah, you'll just want the 3 strands.
And then you just do this. And then like, do you start like on
So
the
yeah,
side?
just about maybe a 1/4 inch to the side of the line.
Okay.
Okay.
So here.
Come up. Now, go down just on the other side of that line. So just on the outside of your little trace line.
So you go
And
here.
then you're gonna come up.
Oh.
Envision making like a V. You know.
So you can do this.
And you want, I'm going to show here. So when you come up, you want to be inside your thread, like you've got here, so that when you pull,
It has
you get the V.
Okay.
Okay. If you're not, let me show, because this one, might be, if you're not inside it, that's what's going to look like. Not a problem. You're just going to go and slip in there.
Oh, to get up.
Okay. All fixed. No worries. Okay. Now, this time, go
Like
either that way or this way. So you're just going to be going back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I go this.
Take that stitch to the center.
And then it's just like this.
Now you can see there you're not inside your V.
Oh, and
You're
then
not
I just like.
So just pick it up, just slip in there.
So when I go that way, I have to go.
You've got to always have that thread. Let's see, so that your needle, the thread always needs to be down. That your needle is coming up inside that loop of thread. Okay, so that when you come up and pull, it catches that. Okay.
Man, I got a free lesson here.
Yeah.
But.
So you're just gonna go back and forth. So when you start the next one, let's see. So we've got the bottom of that V. So now come over here about that same place.
And I just go.
And then just take that little 1/4 stitch, 1/4 inch stitch. And you'll just keep working around. So how long have you been in the United States from Taiwan?
For about, what's my problem here?
Let's see what we get caught. Okay, I'm going to unthread this.
Sometimes you just need this kind of challenge. When you're
Oh, I think it got wrapped around twice, but let's see.
Oh, and I put it under.
Did you come up and you weren't inside, so then you had to pick it up? Yeah, okay, let's see. I'll let you thread that, because if it was me, I'd lick your thread, and that wouldn't be sanitary, because that's not my thread. Okay. All right, so then we just gotta.
Oh, yeah, now I see. Oh, so back to your question.
Oh yeah, how long have you been here?
Like 3 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That was new things to learn. A lot of new things to learn.
Did you know English before you came here?
I knew a
You'd
little.
Yeah, a little?
Yeah.
Oh. I assumed you knew it well before coming, because you speak it so well.
It's like still hard
Yeah.
when you're trying to talk and then like people might not understand you sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you grow up here?
I did. I grew up in the Salt Lake Valley my whole life.
Okay.
Yeah. lived in the Holiday area.
Oh.
Now Mill Creek lived in Glendale when I was young, Sandy, and then Glendale, and then settled in Holiday. That's where I was till I graduated. But all in the Salt Lake Valley. Married and moved to Sandy, and then Draper, and now I'm back to Holiday. So.
Okay.
But all in the area, and I, come from a huge family, and we were talking the other day how unusual it is that with all, so there's 11 kids in our family.
Yeah.
And we all, except for one, live in the Salt Lake area.
Oh.
Live along the Wasatch Front anyway,
So you're all still here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, which...
Has anybody moved out and then moved back
So,
here?
yeah, I've had my one sister, Carrie, her and her husband live in the Las Vegas area.
Yeah.
He has a practice there, so they live there.
Uh-huh.
And they've lived in Phoenix, and back east he went to school in Rhode Island. And they are happy there. Now, I've had two of my brothers have lived in Atlanta at different times, and Colorado, but they're back here.
Okay.
Yeah. So other than Carrie, which is nice Vegas because she's close enough, she comes home quite a bit. When the kids are out of school, she pops home.
Do you think it's because of all the siblings are here? That's why your brothers moved back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and they married girls from here.
Oh, okay.
So the girls want to be back with their families, and
yeah.
My aunt and uncle were asking us because they have kids that live all over the country, and they're like, how did you get your kids to stay close? And I said, well, we're kind of a clingy bunch, especially the girls. We're just like, no, we're not leaving.
So how many girls are there in the family?
6 girls.
And then
5 boys.
Okay.
And then we have a brother that's an adopted-in brother, and then we have an adopted-in sister, so there's more than even 11. We just kind of keep adding people into the family. We're like, you want to be part of our family? Great, you're now my sister.
We like big families,
Yep,
so
we do.
You're very welcome.
So
That's
we say 11, that's 11 that are
official,
blood related in some
document.
format, but 13 would be our total.
Okay.
So this thread we're using is a Valdani. You'll see as you go stitching that it changes color.
This is how mine looks like for now. So yeah,
But we're gonna,
it's very different. Yeah.
So you might want to just spread out how wide your stitch is, but you probably want to continue with what you're doing because
it is already.
you already have a style, But yeah, probably my biggest recommendation would be to spread how far apart your stitches are, and then when you start this next one, it's came up here, you started down, start right across from that bottom of that last stitch.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then they'll kind of fan out more. This Valdani is variegated throughout, and so I don't know if you can see, but it changes different shades of brown to black throughout it, so it's just kind of a fun thread to use.
Do we call them hand
dyed?
Yeah. And then
Hand dyed or over dyed, they're called, or some people refer to them as fancy floss.
I like them because you can see all the different colors throughout your.
And I don't think I'm going to have enough thread to make the full go around, but I'm going to try. It's not going to work. Okay, I'm going to have to tie a knot. So in hand embroidery, I always tie a knot to start, and when I'm done, I tie a knot on the back. Where in cross stitch, I don't knot it, but you've got to have a knot to keep your stitches from coming undone.
So for this kind of stitch, forgot my question.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that does.
Sometimes they just pop in.
So on that next one, just see when you start up again, How
When
you can.
I start.
So let's.
Yeah, now I don't even remember where
Okay.
I should start.
All right. So now let's see. You are. Just come here. So actually, you would want to be starting over on this side. And get that V going. Okay. So now on your next one, when you come across, you're going to go right along there, that same place, and then back to your center. So your next one's going to come here and back to your center.
Okay. And the next one. Okay.
And
the
so
next
then
one
there,
just go here.
yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So whenever you finish that bottom point of the V.
Yep. So with the pandemic, you haven't been able to return home, have you?
No.
That's hard.
Yeah. I don't know how my parents feel about it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, maybe they don't want me there.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure they'd love to have you there, I'm sure. Although when the kids grow up and come home, it's all a lot different.
Right?
But I'm sure they'd like to see your cute face other than,
Wait,
do you video call?
Yes,
Yeah.
we do.
Yeah.
And then talking with dad and versus talking with mom is very different experience.
Yeah.
Sure.
But that's true whether you're with them there or you're with them on video chat, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know about your house. Our house, it's you call and dad answers and you say, "Hi, how are you doing? Is mom home?" Everybody's.
Wait, you don't even wait until he starts
No,
talking?
he will answer us and we'll say, he'll tell us how he's doing. Oh, good. Okay, well, is mom home? And then we have the big long chat with mom. You get the skinny with mom, but.
And then dad gets to know you from mom.
Yep. Oh yeah. Yeah. That's just the way it was growing up.
I kind of mess up my next again.
No, you haven't messed up. So now.
So this one I messed
Oh, okay.
up, right?
Well, you'll just. Yeah, because you just want to keep going from the bottom of that V.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let me see where you would start your next one.
I will start here. Here, right?
Just right and not too far down. So you might want to come up even. Yeah, so you're just even with that.
Okay.
Okay, and then take that stitch towards the center.
And then, how do you tell the center? Center
is your little drawn
bottom.
line, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whoops. Gotta go back.
Okay, so now show me where you're going to start your next one. Perfect. Yeah. So now I think you're going to see more of that feathered stitch. So let's see. Yep. And you'll see how those will develop now a little more. Oh, but this time.
Ooh.
Okay, that's how you did that one, and you said, I don't know what I did. It got kind of
just
wrapped around it twice, yeah.
So what do you guys do when there is family gathering and then there are a lot of kids?
There's a lot of us.
Yeah, because
so we do in the summer, it's easier because you can do it outside at someone's house and the kids can run and you can be outside.
Yeah.
At Christmas time, we used to just cram into my mom's house. We crammed into my mom's house for years. And then, but now I have a sister and a niece and nephew that live in a community that has a clubhouse.
Okay.
And so we're lucky because on Christmas we rent the clubhouse and we all go there for dinner.
Okay.
No, so we do our things with our, your little family in the morning, afternoon.
Open the gifts.
Yeah, and then we all get together, our entire family, for dinner at night. So 6 o'clock, kind of potluck dinner, and we just all get together at this clubhouse. So it's nice. Not everyone comes because kids, the nieces and nephews, they get married and they go, they have different things, but we'll have, 70 people.
In one time?
Yeah.
What?
For dinner.
Wow.
It's crazy. And usually we do, so my mom makes something every year for every, has always made something for all the women in the family.
Wait, what does the man get?
They'll get gift cards or, but now we convinced her last year because the men, they just really enjoy seeing what my mom does and seeing how happy it makes us, So last year we convinced my mom to do family gifts, so that, because when she gives us a quilt or something, it's not just for me, it's a family thing. It's in my home. It decorates our home. It's,
Yeah.
So we've tried to convince her to just do that. So, but she gives something to each grandchild. So that has been like an hour and a half or so of chaos of everybody watching everybody. We do them one at a time, unwrap the gift. So this year we decided enough of the chaos. Grandma and Grandpa are delivering gifts.
Nobody's complaining.
And we're just going to do the dinner, and then we are going to play a game.
Okay.
Last year we played, have you ever heard of LCR?
Yeah,
Left, center, right is a dice game. Last year we played that. The adults did while the kids went and, played video games and played and stuff. But the adults played LCR, and we had so much fun. It got kind of crazy. But so I don't know what game we're going to play this year. But, we'll play a game around the tables and just enjoy each other.
70 people with a game.
Yeah, we'll have several tables going, but it's fun.
That's pretty fun, yeah. Okay.
But that's how our children grew up. That's what Christmas was, because we, so the family's getting really big, but as long as we have my mom and dad, that's like, it wouldn't be Christmas without that chaos.
Yeah.
Where you marry into the family, that chaos is quite a shock.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you first marry into such a huge family, it's like, you what?
Yeah.
70 people, and you know them all, and you actually like them all, and,
That's a good thing.
Yeah, it's nice.
I don't think I got.
See, do you see how you're getting much more of that feather stitch now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's different.
Great.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, let Cindy.
Okay.
Slide.
So I finished this, and now I'm going to put on the holly leaves. So for my holly, I'm going to want to have some green. Plus, this happens to be pearl cotton, so I'm just going to grab some of this pearl cotton here. Thread my needle. Maybe. And I'm going to start attaching my holly. Now, the holly leaves are just square. So they are roughly a 3/4 inch to 1 inch square, okay? But it's so easy to just cut these squares, and then you just take your scissors and you just cut out a scoop to create a holly leaf. So take and just cut kind of a little half circle scoop. Okay, now these are a little bit large. I may want to cut my squares down a little bit because my circle that I did was smaller than the one I did on this pillow, because I just used what I had here to trace it. So just depending on how big you want your leaves, I'm just going to cut that down, scoop out, and there is the holly. I don't have to trace them. I don't have to lay a pattern on them. They're not always even, but neither are natural.
Yeah, that's why they're cute.
Yeah. And so to attach those, I will just place it on my vine, wherever, come up with my thread from the back, and I'm going to tack it down there. And then I'm just going to back stitch. Okay, so I'm just coming up, going back to my first stitch, coming up again a little bit ways, going back to my first stitch. Now I can do it this stab method, or I can just make from the surface, make stitches. Now I don't want to go on mine. I didn't go all the way to the edge because I want the leaves to kind of stand up on it.
Yeah.
You can see how they're not loose, all the way tacked down all the way around. They're just creating that. So then I would just pick up and put another one.
You just give them like a couple or 3 stitches.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, about 3
Okay.
stitches into the leaf, and then I just move from that to the next one. Now this, I've done 2 here that are the same color green, but I like to use a variety, okay? I like to use different color greens so that it just has a different look. You can do it as thick, you know, as full a wreath as you want, but I like to see some of my stitches from underneath. You know, if I did them too close together, I would miss all the stitching, and I just want them kind of spaced out a little bit. So there I go, back down, take a stitch to put that tip, and then take those 2 or 3 or 4, because this one's a little bit longer, and just stitch that down. And that's all there is to it on your holly leaves. So that's it on that part.
Okay.
And just tie that up. And on my joy on this, I did it in white. So I did my berries in white.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but while you're stitching, I'm going to run and get some red, because since I'm doing it on cream, I think I'll do the joy in red and the berries red.
Are you going to do the hand dyed
No,
thread again, or?
I think I'll just grab some floss.
Just
Yeah, I think I'm just going to grab some embroidery floss, so I'll be right
you
back.
just look at me stitching it.
Wow, emerald stitches away. Okay, so I'm back with some options here. So I could have just grabbed red
The red.
DMC, but then there's this. Now this is a DMC, so it's not hand or over dyed.
Okay.
But it's a variegated pearl cotton, and that's pretty. That's just some variegated red. Or there's pearl cotton that's just straight red. Or there's the Valdani hand dyed, over dyed.
This one
That's
looks
got-
bright.
This is going to be cost wise for a customer. It's going to be about twice as much as this one,
Because that one's hand dyed?
because this one is the over dyed, so it costs
Overdyed.
a lot more than this one.
Okay.
So we're going to go with the DMC. We're going to stick in our budget.
So you can see how it will look like if you want to.
Yeah. So we're going to stitch with this one. And so it can go from really deep burgundy to a brighter red, and I want to get a section of mine that has some of that brighter red to it. So I want to take.
So my question will be like, what do people usually, do you use like pillows like this to decorate?
Yeah, so like this little bowl. This is a little what do they call these? Bread bowl. And so I'm just using this. I would just set it on my coffee table or on a shelf somewhere, just a little,
It's a nice size.
you know, just so
Nice,
it just
so
as a little
pretty.
decoration.
Yeah.
You know, and we have smaller ones of these bread bowls. We have them in the shop. But also, it's a great little pincushion. You know, if at Christmas time when you're stitching, just to
Yeah.
have, you could use it as a pincushion.
Okay.
But yeah, just as something fun to make.
Mm-hmm.
They make a nice gift for a friend that, you know, likes just a little
It's
handmade
just-
item.
Yeah, it's easy. It's
It's
easy-ish.
easy-ish.
Not
It's-
for me.
It just takes practice,
Yeah.
because you can see that your stitches are getting different, you know, as you're getting used to the,
Yeah.
they're coming more look like a feather stitch. So.
And then I guess like everybody has different style because depends on how you.
Yeah, so some people's stitches in embroidery will be really tiny and tight,
close, yeah.
and some are bigger, you know. And it's just, and sometimes mine will change based on how tense I am. You know? Are my stitches tight or are they more loose? Yeah. And I'm thinking I may not do on this. Let's see. So when I'm doing my holly, I go all the way around to one direction, so that you're not going
everywhere.
The different direction of your leaves, because then as it comes around, it'll all match up, you know. Yeah. But yeah, these are just little squares. So just instead of, it's so much nicer than having to cut out and be exact on your leaves. But 1 inch is too big, so I would say you've got to go from 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch for your squares. So, but, and then the back stitch I will show more of when I do the word joy.
Okay.
So
let's do that.
Should we do that?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a couple different things you can do for the word joy. So this one is a back stitch, okay? And where I wanted it thicker, I did a side-by-side back stitch, okay? To give it kind of a calligraphy look. So I'm gonna start on the joy showing you a back stitch, but then I'm gonna change to a chain stitch and show you, because I think that's a fun, different way to do it. So a back stitch is, I don't start at the end of my line, okay? I'm coming up a little bit of ways from that end and going back. Okay, for my next stitch, I'll come just a little bit from there. Okay, and meet up coming down in that exact same hole there to join up. Okay, that is a back stitch. So you just continue taking, you don't want your stitches too long.
Yeah.
Because especially when you're going around curves, you've got to have short stitches
so it
to
will
make
turn.
that curve. So it looks, you know, gentle and not like chunky.
Yeah.
So I'm just coming up, going back in that same hole. Okay. And these are fairly, the Pro Cotton is a thicker thread, so I'm getting a nice definition of my stitch. If you're using embroidery floss, you'd be using like 3 strands. Now, I'm going to continue to from here, but I'll show you. This is a nice way to get a thick line by doing a chain stitch. So if you've ever done a lazy daisy, so I come up where I'm going to start, go back in that same hole or just next to it, and take a tiny stitch in that loop. Okay?
So there's a knot.
And so there's that loop, and then they're kind of flattened out because I'm wanting to just make a heavy line. So I'm taking really little stitches. You can see that loop, but then I'm going to tug it so it kind of straightens out.
You probably don't want it tight either.
You don't want it too tight because you want the look of that kind of chain. And you can do these chain stitches for the words to give that thicker line. So either a back stitch or a chain stitch. Back stitch is much simpler. Than a chain stitch, but I'm trying to do this to the camera away from me. Let's see. So I'm going to finish this with a chain stitch and then I'll show you what it looks like.
Okay. Still trying to finish on this.
That's fine. When we learn French knots, we can do that before you've even put your leaves on. And of course, I'm going to be a lot faster than you because I've been doing this for 100 years. Well, not quite 100, but since I was little.
Does your mom stitch?
She does. She does
Okay.
beautiful handwork.
Where did she learn that from, though?
I don't know where she learned her embroidery from. Well, my grandmother did embroidery.
Uh-huh.
I'll have to ask her when if she's just self-taught. I know my grandma did embroidery because we have some of her pillowcases and embroidered blocks that she did.
Uh-huh.
So that's probably where my mom learned it. And then, but sewing, she's really a great seamstress.
Yeah.
When we were little, would sew our clothes, and
I think
and
that's
such.
a whole different world, though.
but it's a different world. Yeah,
Because, like, working with body shape.
totally
Wow.
different. Yeah. And I've never sewn clothing. I did a little bit for my daughter when she was a newborn.
Uh-huh. Like,
It was not my thing. It was not my thing.
I know.
I was like, I can go buy a little outfit for what I would spend the money and spend all this time, and I just was not.
Yeah.
So I do like to make baby blankets, things,
Uh-huh.
but not baby
Baby
quilts. But
Clothing.
yeah,
I did learn how to sew when I went to school in
Did you?
Mm-hmm. And I'll say just I'm bad at
Sandy?
it.
A gentleman is here to fix the heater.
okay. Upstairs it is. Sorry, we have someone here to fix our furnace. Just what we want in winter. We're doing a Facebook Live. It's okay. Upstairs, it's the big furnace, the first one.
Okay, thank you.
So it's the center furnace, I guess it would be then.
I'm Sandy, I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, good.
So, anyway, so you learned in Taiwan?
Yeah, and then I just also learned that I'm not good at it.
Did you?
Yeah.
You learned that was not your thing.
Yeah.
Does everyone in school then take sewing, or is that just?
So I study fashion design,
Oh,
and
okay.
that was kind of required.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, body shape and all this design,
Yeah.
probably not.
VJ that works for, she's a great seamstress with clothing.
Yeah.
She's really talented that way, but
Just seeing all her sample work at shop.
yeah, she's really good. And she's, well, I don't know what she's not good at, but her embroidery stitches are impeccable. They're just, she's amazing. And I like handwork because I find it just relaxing.
Yeah. I think
It
when you
kind
have to go like just one stitch at a
Mhm.
time.
Yeah, you focus on what you're doing. You're not multitasking. Although I do like to watch a good show while I'm stitching, but I more or less listen to a good movie or something than watch it. But I think it is a good way to just be present in what you're doing.
I think that's why all the lady works here.
Yeah. Well, let's see, now we probably turned the furnace off for Facebook Live, didn't we?
We did. Yeah.
So they'll be like, why is it not on?
Why isn't it? Yeah.
So we may be turning on our furnace.
They'll see.
In the shop, we have 3 furnaces. One for upstairs, 2 for the downstairs. One of them has stopped working.
Oh.
So we called to have someone come in. And I didn't know they'd be here so early.
It's just never. It looks good.
Yep, so you did your wreath. So I've
Finally,
just
yeah.
been working on my joy. So I'm going to stop there because I've taught now everything except for the French knots.
Mm-hmm.
So they're the little, I did them in white on this one.
Yeah.
And
You're going to
I'm
do
going to
red.
do them in red on this one. So I will show that if you want to.
Yeah.
And there are some great close-up YouTube videos on doing French knots and colonial knots. So I'm going to just show you. So I'll come up at the tip of one of my little stitches here because I'm going to put a little berry on that. And I'll just wrap my floss around my needle a couple times. Put my needle not in the same hole but just to the side. And then the key for me is just to tug my floss down next to the fabric.
So you're basically using your needle to make the tie. That's it.
So then I'm going to come up here and wrap, go down, and pull through.
Oh, okay.
So if I want my knot to be bigger, I just wrap my needle more times, or you can do a colonial knot. Now here's a colonial knot. It is, you're making basically a figure 8 around your needle. You see this kind of a figure 8 there with the thread?
Uh-huh.
And then I go down. And colonial knots, a lot of people prefer them because they think they look nicer. So I've got side by side here, but you can make your knot. So I've just wrapped my needle twice, but if you wrap it 3 times, your knot will be bigger. So that's just a French knot, and you just move from, because this fabric is so nice and thick, I'm going to do 3 times on this one. 1, 2, 3. Then go next to it, and then tug that thread next to your fabric. You're not having to hold it tight. I'm just basically resting my thumb on there, not pressing down, and then pulling through.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
Okay.
So after you add all your holly leaves, then you will finish up by doing your French knots.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it on that. My actual pillow. So once I'm done with all my stitching, I will cut out the square, the size that I want my pillow to be, and I will cut another piece that's for the back. Of course, I'll be using the same fabric. And my back, I don't worry about it having that shape flex on. Put them right sides together. So all the way around, leaving just a little gap to turn right side out. And you just turn it and stuff it. And you're done. So
Nice.
That's a pretty simple embroidery project.
Okay.
And you could put a monogram in the middle instead of the word joy. You could do leaves that are shaped like just a leaf shape versus the holly
Uh-huh.
for something that's, not Christmas.
Okay.
That's it on that project.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll let you keep stitching away, and I will get ready to show my trees. Good morning, VJ.
Are you?
I know we are, but that's fine. We're just working live. So VJ's here to work. The store is now open. We're just working on. You don't even look over there. No, we're just going to be sewing for a little bit. Okay. Now I'm going to get my machine out, and we are going to sew little triangle Christmas trees. Let's see, unplug the light. That's for my extra light. I can do without the extra light.
It's a real test.
Yes. So make sure I'm right up here.
Oh, they're here, right? You've got your pieces.
All right. So if you downloaded the pattern for the cotton pines off our website, and that's a free pattern. So I have cut my fabrics. I'm going to use 3 different fabrics for my tree. And I've cut that shape flex woven stabilizer, the same size, 3 of those. I then have somewhere in the triangle, and this will just be the base of my tree. Okay? So you're going to want to iron your 3 pieces. So I'll come over to my ironing board.
So there are people who are saying it's hard to hear. Probably because
of our
furnace.
So I'll try and talk louder. We apologize for that, but when they're here to fix your furnace and winter may be coming, you gotta let them do their thing. So I'm just gonna iron that shape flex to the back of each of those pieces. And we will be ready to sew.
I'm glad that stitching part is finished.
Yeah.
And then that one was clear.
Yeah. We usually turn the furnace off in the store when we're filming because
Yeah.
the fans are a little noisy in this spot where we're at.
Although editing is fine, but still
Yeah.
they can hear it.
Okay, so I've got those ironed on. Oops, didn't iron this one, so.
The bottom
Iron
part.
to the wrong side of my fabric. Just gives the fabric a little bit extra body. Oh, they're really loud now. Okay, so then you're going to take 2 of your pieces. Whoops, that one didn't iron. Okay, on the pattern, there are little dots here. And I'm going to, on the wrong side, go through, and I've poked a hole through my pattern so that I can just mark
Oh,
the
so
little
when you're
dots here.
sewing-
Okay,
Mhm.
so I'm just going to do that on each of my trees. Whoop, that one didn't go, but- Okay, so then I'm going to take 2 pieces, right sides together.
And you line up the dots.
Well, I can just line up my edges here, but I'm going to sew from each dot to
Okay.
the other dot. Okay? So then I'm using a 6 or 1/4 inch seam allowance.
Wait, let me come from your
Oh,
bag.
you know what? I need my foot pedal. So let me grab that real quick.
So it's a inch.
Now we're set. Okay, so I'm just going to go down and start where that my dot was. Sew my 1/4 inch. And stop at dot. So I've sewn from here to here. Okay? And then I'm just going to finger press this. I'm going to take my next one. Now this one, when I was ironing, I'm a little bit off here. So I'm going to just trim that.
The scissors.
Okay, so then we're back to square. Put these right sides together again.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll sew from that dot to this spot. Okay. And I'll just finger press that. Now I'm going to put my final 2 right sides together, and I'm going to, on this one, I'm just going to start at this dot, and I'm just going to stitch all the way up to that next dot, and that will create, and I do back stitch at each, as I start and stop.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't want them to be open.
Yeah. Now this time, my back, when I get that next, I've got the bolt here.
Uh-huh.
But stitching to that dot is going to get me right to the point of the tree.
Okay.
Back stitch. Oh, I forgot to do something. But I can fix this now. And that, I forgot to leave. So on one edge, when you're stitching, you want to leave a little opening of about 1.5 inches. Under that. I could use a seam rubber, you know, that would be smart. So I'll do that in a minute. We'll see that when we're ready.
Okay.
Okay, so now you've got your triangle. We did the triangle.
The small one.
Oh, there we go.
There.
So here we've got our triangle. On your pattern, you have the same situation. You've got your dots on your pattern. So again, we want to mark, and I'm just using the friction pen, the friction marker here again to mark my dots. Okay. And this is just going to be lining up one edge, so here I go. Lining up that edge, sewing from the dot, a 1/4 inch seam, stitches, back stitch, and we're sorry for the monsoon of the furnace fans.
Got all
I
the noise.
apologize. We'll do this a little different way next time. So I've done one edge. And I'm going to just go like this and do the next. Okay, now we've got our final one, and we're just ready to sew along that. So that creates the triangle base of our tree. And this time I can just go right off the edge. I don't have to worry about stopping.
Okay.
Okay. And so then that is ready for us to open up. Once I
Get that opening.
get that opening,
So they can also just stop there and then leave and open.
yeah, I should have left that little opening
Yeah.
when I was doing it.
However you guys
But I
want to
didn't,
do
so-
it.
Yeah, so on one edge, just mark before you sew. If on one of your trees, just mark so that it reminds you to stop and start.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you're just going to turn it from there.
Take care of all the pointed
Uh-huh,
part.
get your little points out. Oh, I'm going to take the tip of my scissors and carefully so I don't pop all of it.
Yeah, this is the scariest part.
I'm just going to point two. So there is my tree, and so then I'll just stuff it with stuffing through this opening, starting by stuffing the tip here down, and just continue stuffing till it's full, and then I will just fold those in. You can use a wonder clip or pin, and then you'll just hand stitch that opening closed once you've stuffed your tree.
Okay.
Okay. One fun thing too would be to leave one side. You could use like the background fabric we used. You could do some fun embroidery on one side and have this kind of an embroidered project. But that's all it takes. And if you want your tree to have some weight to it, add a little bit of rice in the bottom or some
Beans.
sand, or, you know. So that. Now we have sewn. Last week we did the little pine branches with our wool. That's our cotton pines. We did our joy pillow, added some wool balls, and that's it. So
That's all the bulbs.
let's tell them about this quilt behind us here.
Oh yeah.
So this is a cute Christmas gingham quilt. And we'll kind of zoom in at some point. This piece here, creating the gingham, has this darling Santa Claus on it. And then you've got your red. And we have kits for that in a green version, or a red version, and then we have a green version as well. That's really cute. So
How big is this one? Do you know?
This is about a twin size.
Yeah, it looks like a twin.
Yeah. And it is $63.95 for the quilt kit. That's your pattern and your fabrics for your top and binding. And then we've just got a fun print on the back.
Yeah, this
But
is
it
the
would be
next
really
one.
fun with Minky. Couple that you can just for Christmas. But it's a fun, quick Christmas gift or quilt for just like throwing on the couch while you're watching the Christmas movies and stuff.
And so square.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
squares, sews up quick. And there's a strip piecing method to it, so it's really a quick project. Anna made both of the red one and the green one for us. So that is
It's
our
today's
sewing with Sandy theme. So
Thank you for joining us.
thank you for joining us, and we will see you next week for Table Talk. Have a happy Thanksgiving.